Hola, mi gente. Today we have two beautiful women who are making big changes in the way Latinos connect and appreciate their culture. I'm so excited to introduce you to Mabel and Alejandra from Cadena Collective. They work closely with Mexican artisans and other Latino-owned brands that are also making huge strides to change the way our culture appreciates its own identity. If you're looking for beautiful, authentic Mexican products and want to support small business owners who are doing great things in our community, check out their website at cadenacollective.com. And let's go ahead and meet the ladies. Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Good.
Good.
So Mabel and Alejandra, who's older? That's my first question. Mabel.
Yeah. Not by a lot.
Not by a lot.
No, a year and 8 months. So we're very close in age.
I think we consider ourselves a little bit more like twins in many ways, just because we're so close and my sister has sometimes taken the role of older sister. Obviously, I'm the oldest, but I don't know, we rely on each other a lot.
Yeah. And do you guys have any other siblings?
Yes, we have a younger brother who is, and we call it in Spanish, el pilón.
Oh.
He's the last one. He's 8 years younger than me. So he's still in his early 20s, much younger.
Yeah. How funny, because I have a brother, también el pilón, and he's 8 years younger than me too.
Ah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have that in common.
Yeah, I think the dynamic of just being an immigrant family and having maybe some, like, not a, ¿cómo se dice? Like just kind of just moving from one country to the other and then starting a new life puts some time difference there. And so my mom didn't have my brother until I think she felt a little more stable and comfortable in our new life in the U.S.
Oh my God. And I know this is kind of like early, but can we dive into your mom? Because I have so many questions about your mom. So first of all, you guys, if you guys don't know, please go follow Cadena Collective. You guys are on TikTok. I know I follow you on TikTok and Instagram. That's where I stalk you guys. And when I read into your story, I think a very important person of Cadena Collective is your mom. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like she's the one that taught you guys how to be powerful and how to be resilient and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think some of my earliest memories were from her attending these like Tupperware parties with her friends. And so, yeah, sure, they were fun, but underlying was her hustle and her grit and her resiliency to have her own money, to have her own little side hustle so that she wouldn't always depend on my dad, especially because he was living in the US. And then from there, she kind of just kept repeating that cycle. And we saw her sell everything from home interior to Royal Prestige, all of these multi-level marketing companies, because she was always wanting more for herself. And so she wanted it, she would go and get that job. And so that's how I think I personally think my sister has picked up on different qualities too, but have kind of learned that determination that if you want something, you work for it and you figure it out. And it's just her courage and bravery to kind of cross the border. That's a big part of our story on her own with 2 little girls. And all of that has been a huge impact in our lives.
Yes, I feel like she's a very important person that has to do with Cadena Collective. Now, is your mom still, is she a part of the business at all today?
She is. She actually, sorry, I'll let Mabel answer that one.
No, 1,000%. She's actually the one who packages your orders. So if you order, she's the one that's putting them together. We have someone else, Leslie, who's part of our team, and she helps print out the labels and preps the orders, but my mom does rest. And we've actually encouraged her because we like to write notes on every single order. And we've encouraged her to write like a thank you or something. And she's so bashful about doing that and about writing in her English. And we're like, Mom, they would love it. But,
Hasta en español, que lo escriba en español.
That's what we told her. But, we don't want to push her too much to where it's comfortable. But we've told her, Mom, they would love this. Like, we are a family business. Like, and, going back to what Ale said, and what you said, she is a big part of this. And I guess I've never really truly thought about how big of a part she is until you asked this question, because it goes beyond her being able to have all these little hustles, whether it's through selling something, but way back when, even before we were a thought, she actually used to help sell some clothes. And she, grew up learning all of these things, from crocheting to cross stitching. They would sell that. They would save their money. And then after that, whenever she did marry my dad, I remember we would make donuts and sell them. We had they had a little corner store, those little tienditas.
Yes.
Yeah. We had one, and I remember on certain days we would wake up really, really early, and I remember this pink Tupperware cup that we would use to cut out the holes and make the donuts, and I still remember that sugar smell. Like, that woman has been she has all these entrepreneurial skills that now I'm realizing she passed on to us. She's very smart. And it goes on. She's accumulated all these skills. She's a seamstress. She does it all. She's very resourceful and resilient. And I think that's why Cadena is doing better than we expected. So thanks, Mom.
Yes. Well, I have several points of view, and I'll tell you guys why I think you guys are bomb and why you guys are I think you haven't even reached your peak, because I feel I can see Cadena Collective, in big major retail stores and stuff. And I really don't know what direction you're going to, but the stuff that you guys get. But hold on, before we get there. Okay, so if you guys could just let your mom know I sent her a big hug. I feel like she's the woman behind Cadena Collective. At least that's how I see it. So she raised two amazing women, and you guys are doing it. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to her. Now, what part of Mexico are you guys from?
So we're from Nochistlán, Zacatecas, which is, I guess most people would be able to, it's about 3 hours away from Guadalajara. And most people can identify where Guadalajara is.
Yes.
So
my family's from Guanajuato.
So. Oh, okay. So we're also about 4 hours away from Guanajuato, in that same central Mexican region.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you guys do mention that you go back and visit and kind of, have your vacations, or sometimes to unplug, you go back and visit family, right?
So that used to be the case every summer when we were much younger. That has changed a lot since we've, grown up, become adults. And it has also changed since the pandemic. So we actually hadn't been to Mexico in 5 years. We did go 2 weeks ago. And before that, we hadn't gone. So not only did we build Cadena during the pandemic and start working with artisans from Mexico, it was all virtual and it was all very organic. We only reached out maybe to one company to work with us. Everybody else was, it was very organic. And so, yes. And so this was actually our very first opportunity 2 weeks ago that we got to visit one of our partners that we work with. And it was very exciting. And it was such a emotional and nostalgic trip. I mean, I felt like I wanted to cry multiple times a day, because literally one of our aunts, one of the first comments she said, she was like, "Oh, I still have, your toys, and I still have, your stuffed animals, from it. They're all in the same space. They're all organized." And it was very emotional because, as you can imagine, leaving at the age of 6 and 8, just thinking back and leaving your toys and all of that. And we're now 33 and 32, and someone still has all of those things. It's like a time, what's it called? Time warp, or like just kind of being pulled back into those memories. And so it was constantly kind of coming up against those memories, but post building Cadena, which has helped us heal in many ways and kind of help navigate this hyphenated journey of being Mexican American, being Latina, just being a multi-hyphenated individuals. So it was very recharging. Definitely want to do it more often now that, you know, things are a little better, COVID wise, but yeah, we hadn't been in a long time. And so a lot of those memories, a lot of what Cadena is built on are those memories. So having new memories from recently was very emotional.
I can imagine that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Mabel, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with my sister. It definitely left us pretty vulnerable. I do think that my sister and I lean a lot into that when navigating decisions and doing stuff for Cadena, whether it's a post or a story or what have you. But yeah, this trip definitely kind of opened up some wounds that we hadn't maybe like cared for. But it is, we take it and, you know, we come back to Cadena, and I've said it before, Cadena is a love letter to our experience. And I think whether you grew up in Mexico or Mexican and you haven't been there, it's still in your blood. It's still part of you. And so I think that your body knows it. Like you need that sort of connection, whether it's through a textile or something or color. And so our task is to be able to bridge that gap for people who maybe are not able to go for whatever reason, or just want to connect again, because we get so lost in this country. And it's easy for us. We got extreme anxiety the day before we officially worked, and we were like, oh my gosh, we're back in this hustle mindset of survival mode, work and grind, and that's it. Mm-hmm. There's no balance. Yeah. Coming from over there's balance. Mm-hmm. You work hard. The money might not be as great, but you work hard and family's there. You have friends, mm-hmm. you have food, you have music, you have colors, you have, even the air is lighter because everyone is balanced. Even through your, all of your trials, you have a village that helps you. Yes. Versus here, I think it's almost romanticized to go through it alone. Yes. You know, you just stay at home and that's what I'm going to do. And it's like, yeah, it's great. But just like it takes a village to raise a kid, it takes a village to keep you going as a person. Yes. And so you also think that's why my sister and I are so passionate about Cadena, because we see it as more than a marketplace. We see it as a community. Like, we want you to feel like you're part of something, even if you're not physically there. And hopefully one day we can have a physical spot where we can all hang out.
I would definitely go to that.
That's goals. We're working on it. But
I think you guys are touching exactly on what I wanted to ask, because, to realize that you were 6 and 8 years old, 1996, the world was already changing so much, right? I feel like, going into the early 2000s, and a lot was going on in the world. And, you guys are little girls having to leave everything that having to leave your family and doing all that. So I 100% understand, and you guys kind of answered my question of like, how was that experience? And so knowing that you went back and you're almost healing that little part of your soul. Yeah. Because you guys did leave a little part of your soul there. Especially if you still have family. I just want to share something with you guys. I can 100% connect with that, because my grandmother passed away in 2020, and I wasn't able to say goodbye because of COVID. She had COVID, and there was just so many things going on. And the family really split up because now we're all in the U.S. There's some that are still in Tijuana, but, you know, most of they can cross. We see each other. And there was kind of like a fall in the family. And it shattered me because I'm like, I'm never going to be back to my grandma's house. And like you said, certain smells, certain activities. Oh, I don't want to get emotional. But I went to this one shop here in San Diego called Casa y Cocina. And they sell artifacts from Mexico. You know, the owner goes, she's amazing. The owner goes to Mexico every year, and she finds, you know, artisanal pieces that are beautiful. And as soon as I walked into the shop, you guys, hasta la cortina by the little window was like my grandma. The smell, the juicer that my grandma used to do my grandpa's juices on was there. I was bawling like a baby because to me it's like, oh. So when you say that you want people to feel part of your community, you guys are doing that. You guys are doing that because I look at certain pieces that you guys sell. I even went on a diet for you guys. You guys don't understand.
Oh, no. Don't do that.
This is before you guys brought out the plus sizes, but I even went on a diet because I was like, I want to look like, you know, like Alejandra when she poses in the suits and the dresses and the bustier. Oh
my God.
Beautiful pieces. And I feel like it connects me like with my ancestors, and it connects me to my culture. I'm so sorry, but
no, we're all in the same boat. But you're 1,000% correct, you know. And so even though I was emotional that my aunt was telling me like, oh, we have all of these things from when you were, you know, a little girl, and this, you know, your favorite doll and this and that. Having Cadena, it does what you're saying. It does, you know, connect us closer to our ancestors or even some of our older family members, but it also connects us to the child that we were at some point, right? And so, yeah, maybe I don't have that doll from when I was 6, but in a very funny way, I'm playing in my closet with things that connect me to who I was because they come from Mexico. So I'm replacing a lot of the things that I left behind with things that I can have now. And so that's why we always try to bring attention to where it's made, the techniques, how it's made, all of those things, because it's more than a piece of clothing. It's more than a pair of earrings. It's just a toy for an adult at this point, right? Like a piece of clothing that you can play with and wear and style, and you just get to carry that. So we're there with you, and it's a constant reminder of where we come from and reconnecting with that instead of kind of trying to assimilate or push it to the side or trying to follow, you know, TikTok trends that aren't made for us or by us. Mm-hmm. So
no, you guys are trendsetters. And I want to say too, can I just read about the name? And can we dive into the meaning of Cadena Collective? Because this gave me goosebumps, you guys. Se me hizo la piel chinita when I read this. So for the listeners, cadena is the Spanish word for chain. And this is written by them. It is our belief that women are not bound by societal chains or expectations of the roles they should play in the modern age. When women unite like chains, they are stronger, powerful, and more resilient. Cadena also happens to be the street name of the home in Mexico in which we took our first steps and the home we left at age of 6 and 8 years old when my mother immigrated to the United States. Our name is a symbol of how our life has changed and how moving from Calle Cadena to the United States has given us a world of opportunities. We want to share that opportunity with women who may feel bound by the expectations their family, friends, or society has placed on them. Working with women, artisans, and I'm so sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word right, and sharing their talents is a revolution of love, empowerment, and the journey towards self-realization. Oh, that gave me so many goosebumps. And I have to be honest with you guys, because many of the listeners, you know, especially right now, I think economically, we're all going through something. It has impacted us all somehow. And I really want to address this because I feel like you guys are changing the narrative also, along with other brands out there, that Mexican brands are not cheap. Just because they come from Mexico does not mean that they're cheap. What you guys stand for and what you guys are doing, these are handmade items. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I first found you guys, I didn't know your story. I didn't know nothing. I had just seen you guys on social media, and I ran to the website and I was like, oh, this is just another website that's like trying to like gain off of my culture, and they're crazy with these prices. And then when I started learning more that you guys are actually working with these individuals in Mexico, and you guys are trying to make it something where it's valuable to both sides, right? I'm like, it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
You know, because Williams Sonoma, and, you know, I can't think of another right now, but Williams Sonoma sells stuff that is not created by our people. And
They're selling like an $80 molcajete.
Yes. And it's like, wait, what? Who made that molcajete? I know. Like, where did you guys get this at? So I want to say that to whoever's listening. And if you guys run to Cadena Collective and you guys see, and you guys are going to be like, oh my God, Maribel, like, here you go again, showing us, you know, because somebody reached out to me. I had the privilege of interviewing Nopalera, Sandra Velasquez. And, you know, they were like, these soaps are ridiculous. And I'm like, do you understand like what's behind it? And it's a Latina, like, we're putting money back into our community. And we don't even blink twice when Target's selling it. So why are we blinking when, you know, you see a Latina doing it?
It's normalized, right? When somebody else is doing it. And it's interesting that you say, you know, like you read our description and how it gave you chills. So much of it was written around, like, we have all these beautiful things about our culture that we get to claim and support and love, but we also have like the not great things, that we have the machismo and a very strong patriarchal system. Yes. And so with that comes the idea that made in Mexico, made by artesanos, artesanas, is cheap, right? Because it's a lower paying, lower skilled job per someone's description. But then you do have companies that go buy and then resell at a much higher price, and they just have the right copy or whatever it is without even giving face to the makers, and it's accepted. And so we really wanted to flip that model around. We wanted to make sure that we were working directly with the artisans, the brands, the designers that we, you know, have met along the way. Because that's also something that we wanted to be very intentional about. We don't want to give you a product that has been around for a long time, like a molcajete, and then just sell it to you for 10 times the price. We really wanted to find items that you have never seen, but just add that touch of our cultura, or their cultura, right? Because oftentimes we're working with originating communities. And so we recognize that a lot of the textiles that we use, or that are being used in the designs that we saw on our website, are not for us to claim as ours. So all of those things we are very intentional about, and we want to make sure that it is what Cadena stands for, and why, you know, in many ways, our name is kind of like, let's link up, let's do this together. Even the way we do the payouts, or like the way we buy things, we do a 60-40 margin. We keep the 40%. They always get a bigger margin. Wow. And what many people also don't know is that we actually do small business consulting with pretty much all of the brands. Most of them, not all, but most of the brands that we work with. And oftentimes when we meet them, we have a Zoom call. We say, hi, hello, this is who we are. We love your products. You reached out, we reached out, whatever the case might be. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your process. Tell us how you work with the originating communities. Tell us how you work with your employees. Are you registered under, you know, Mexican law to pay their social security? We ask all of these questions.
Wow.
And then if they present an item and say, okay, well, this is my price for this shirt, it's $30. And we look at it and we're like, well, how long does it take you to make it? They're like, oh, it can take 2 weeks, you know, maybe a month. And we're like, you know, $30, it'll sell very quickly on our website, but we know that your time and your labor is not worth $30. No. So oftentimes we do that consulting with them and we say, hey, we think your shirt is probably $60, but that doesn't mean we upmarked it by 50% and then kept all the earnings. No. We say, we are truthful with them and say, hey, if you are okay with it, we think this would sell for much higher, but our margins will remain the same. We are committed to making sure that you're still keeping the majority of the price that we have suggested. Mm. And that's how we function as a business. You know, some people might think that's not smart or ideal, but that's just what sits right
with you,
us.
Yeah, with both of you. Yeah. And I love that. I love that. Now that, you know, and I'm just putting an example here. Now that bag that I see that's $200, I'm like, oh my God, can I like leave you a tip with that? Because like to know that this is not mass produced, and to know that, you know, there's actual people behind it, and it's my culture behind it, it gives it so much more meaning. And the people that get it, and the people that don't never will.
Right.
But I feel like then that makes it even more special, because, you know, the ones that get it, we're a community.
Yes.
And you guys have beautiful pieces. I don't know how you find these amazing pieces, but beautiful pieces. I even told my husband, this is when I started my diet, because I was like, I want to like redo our marriage pictures. I'm like, I want a bridal dress, because the bridal dress, you guys have everything. So they sell clothing for men, women, bridal, plus size, jewelry, handbags, home and body, and accessories. And as you're talking, you guys have collaborated with amazing brands that are out there, you know, doing their own thing in their own lane. Just to mention a few, I noticed you guys work with Nopalera. Love her products. The Vida bars, Sal, Bonita Fierce candles, and so many more, right? Because I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I believe even with like Mexican designers, you guys have worked with.
Yeah.
So, we work with two amazing right now I can think of two, and we're onboarding another brand that we're very excited. But we work with EGR. Okay. He does a lot of all of his items are beautiful handmade pieces, and they're like urban wear with a touch of Mexico. And so when you see that fusion, it's stunning. I believe his pieces have made it to Yalitza's stylist, worn some of his pieces. And then another designer, Nayibi Villarreal, she's in La Ciudad de Mexico right now, but she embeds herself with different originating communities. And to hear her talk about it, it's been unique because she literally goes and lives with them and like works with them, hustles with them, and then they collaborate and she comes up with these beautiful designs. So it's something she's passionate about, and it's something that spoke to us. They're carrying a piece with so much life and so much soul from all the hands that are take to bring those pieces to life. And so you're 1,000% correct. We work with some amazing people, and something that my sister and I are really wanting to do this year is to be able to, like you, be able to bring more of those stories to the forefront, and share more of that. That way, when you come to our website, you don't automatically get freaked out by the numbers because, those prices are high. And sometimes the more we learn, Ale and I are like, they should be higher, but people are gonna hate us. But slowly but surely. But you said something that is 1,000% correct, and that is, it comes to the right people. The customers, we've noticed there's a certain loyalty, and I think it's because of people like you who, once you kind of peel back the layers, you're like, oh, they're doing something. They're investing in something. We're not out to make a profit. I think people would be surprised at how much that 40% dwindles down once my sister and I and do things.
Well, because you have a lot of cost. You have a lot of cost.
1,000%.
Yes.
We believe in compensating every single talent, from my mom to that's part of why it's been also hard to reach out to people that we would love to wear our pieces and, have them showcase things. Because if we're going to have someone create content for us, guess what? That means compensating them in some manner. And so we believe in fair compensation across the board. And so that means Ale and I have to just hustle a little bit harder. Maybe this year we'll make some great things happen.
Well, I cannot wait to be able to order. I have been saving my coins. I want some of the purses and stuff. And you guys do not have to pay me to flash that baby around. Let me just say, because, and I even, I hear of other brands that are Latinos that are making it, and they're making big strides, but people fail to realize that it takes so much to run a business. Like, you have to have permits, you have to pay customs, you have to pay the website, you have to pay, like, everybody has to get paid. And people fail to realize that. So, I'm not going to name it, but there's this one company that I am actually a fan of, and I buy their products, and it is pretty expensive for a small little bottle, but I'm like, I love it. And they were just saying, anybody that we can give our product for free. And I send them a message, and I'm like, I'm willing to have you on my blog post. I am like a true customer, and you do not need to send me anything for free, because I believe in your product. I honestly believe in it. And so sometimes it hurts my heart that, people do have to pay or have to give their product for free, because I'm like, oh my God, like, no, because you never know. It's almost like playing Russian roulette. What's que va a pegar y que no va a pegar. And, who has like a real following, who's buying their followers. Because you could buy anything now. You can buy views, you can buy likes, you can buy comments, you can do all that. So finding somebody that truly has an authentic audience is so difficult. So, God, man, God bless you guys.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. And it's, I guess, something to note. We do work with companies in the US as well as Mexico, just because it felt right to create a space that was like us, hyphenated, right? Create brands that were up and coming. When we started working with Nopalera, for example, it was like their first year. Mm-hmm. Definitely not one of the businesses we, have conversations with all the time. They know what they're doing. But then it felt right to work with someone who was a Mexican company who was entering the US marketplace, who did need more of that conversation and that collaboration kind of think tank with us where they could spitball ideas and we could say, hey, that's actually not going to work in the US because, you know, your customer in the US has these qualities, right? And then they in turn say, wow, that would never sell here in Mexico because our customer thinks this way. And so we get to do a lot of that while navigating the best of both worlds as far as brands.
Yeah. No, you guys are definitely just killing it. I'm in love. Let me just say that. I'm in love. I have so many things in my cart. I don't know if you guys get like notifications of abandoned carts. It's probably all mine. Because I'm in there and I'm like, okay, I want this and I want that. You guys just have beautiful pieces. But I would love to know, you know, what is the plan for Cadena Collective? Like, if you guys were to fast forward, where do you guys see yourselves in, you know, like 5 years? I know that's a long time from now, but it goes by fast.
A lot.
Yeah, I think just continue to be a leading platform for up and coming brands from Mexico and beyond, right? Like, I guess that's an exclusive for you that we're looking to expand beyond Mexican brands because we have been honed in so much on our own culture and where we come from that we have also come across brands from Ecuador, you know, from Argentina, from Chile, Colombia, Peru, everywhere that are amazing. And to be able to have those on our platform is something we would love to do for other Latinas from other countries. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we're excited.
Talk about using your space properly, because not only are you putting our people up, but you're bringing others with you. Oh, I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps, you guys.
Well, we're glad to have that reaction because, you know, it's scary when you're doing something like that because we have had a lot of support from other Latinas who are like, oh, but do you have something from this brand? From this country, do you have something? But there's an occasional message here and there that is like, keep it all Mexican. And so it is a daunting step for us to also step out of what we are experts in, which is being Mexican women. We are expert of your experience. And so we hope that that's kind of what comes about. And then I think Mabel's dream is opening up a physical space to provide an actual experience.
I to be honest, Ale and I had no really set idea of what Cadena was going to be. It started as just all women owned type of businesses. And that turned into what you all made it, which was Latina or Mexican owned brands. And then there was a brand that reached out to us that was non-Mexican. And we had already started to have those conversations of how are we going to continue to do this? And we were like, well, we make the rules, you know. I think what's scary is our audience, because we are here because of our audience. In some ways, we work for our audience, right? And so it is kind of scary, but at the end of the day, we are leading this with our bicultural experience as Mexican women. But the truth is that not every person comes from Mexico. And so why not help make those, just like you feel that connection, why not help someone else have that connection to their country that's not just right across the border? And so I do think that it's our responsibility to be able to do that. Why no one's telling us not to. And I think people who become upset at the idea of us not being solely Mexican, well, maybe we're not for them. There are plenty of other brands that are Mexican, you know?
I was going to say that you're not going to be able to please everybody. And the right people, I mean, I wouldn't want somebody that is not embracing others as much as they embrace their own. I wouldn't want them as a customer. Because, I mean, that's what's wrong with the world. If we're honest, that's what's wrong with the world, that we're so divided. And
1,000%.
so if you guys already have this incredible platform, like I said, I see it as like oh my God, like this is exciting to get to know, like a brand that's Chilena, like what Venezuelan, like all this stuff is like, yes, teach me.
Yeah.
So,
which we haven't even touched, the tip of fashion in Mexico and all the beauty that it has to offer, right? But it feels right to navigate other experiences at the same time, because once you're in the US, we're all, we all face pretty similar experiences as far as if you're in the corporate world, you're usually the only Latino in the room, right? Like if you're in the military, we're all oftentimes the only one or one of two or very limited. So being able to connect, like my sister said, with your motherland, the country that you're from, through textiles, through whatever it is, that's so cool for us to be able to do that. So
I'm on board. I'm on board, you guys. And I'm not your number one customer just yet, but I will get there. And I say go for it. I would love to learn about other cultures and, because I'm sure they have beautiful pieces too. And I would love that.
Yeah.
I would
in a high fashion way, because, also the model that we navigate, I think people are like, we also navigate maybe a culture that people are like, oh, I can get that dress or I can get a Mexican dress for $25 at La Pulga. And so there is this thought of like, let me get 5 of them. Most people don't walk into YSL and say, let me get 5 of those, right? You treat yourself. And so we kind of have a similar model that we want people to also think about their culture or where they come from as high value, right? And you don't have to be a consumer all the time. These are special, unique pieces. And so being able to say, oh yes, I purchased this, and then get complimented and say, wow, your dress is so beautiful. And you get to share the story of the designer and say, yes, actually, Yalitza Aparicio was wearing the same designer. It's so unique and so different.
And it's never been done before. It's never been done before. And especially, I live in San Diego, you guys. I know you guys, I think you're in Texas, right?
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
So I'm in San Diego, California, and we have Tijuana. Like literally, I live 15 minutes away from TJ. It's super close. So I could cross the border and just get something cheap or whatever, but that's not the point. And that's why I wanted to talk about, your business, what's behind it, you guys, and capture that, because there's so much more into it. And I feel like it's time for us as consumers to be more selective with our money, to be more selective. Cualquier persona puede ir a la Ross. Anybody can go to TJ Maxx. That's fine and dandy, but who are you giving your money to?
Yeah, because honestly, we also do it, right? I style a lot of the items with clothing from Zara or TJ Maxx or wherever. We're not trying to be elitist by saying shop a certain way. It's more so treat yourself or recognize that there is value in some of these beautiful pieces once in a while.
That's a perfect way of saying it. Yes.
And seeing yourself in the same light that you see European brands. Because it's beautiful, sometimes more beautiful. I mean, we've seen plenty of collections by Dior has a Sagrado Corazon collection out right now. Dolce & Gabbana has done similar ones. Ralph Lauren, right? They just copied the Sarape. Like these European brands are being inspired by Latin culture or, Mexican culture. Yeah. So we get to do it ourselves for our community. Because it's interesting too. We'll get comments about what our target audience is like. And we're like, yeah, whenever we get purchases, most of them are Perez, Garcia, like they're Latina. We get to do it for our community, which is very exciting, which is what I think people also, sometimes there's a misconception that we're doing it for a different audience that doesn't look like us, and that's just not it. Which they're welcome. Everybody's welcome to purchase on Cadena, but the way we navigate our business is through our lens, and so if that appeals to people, there's something on our marketplace for you.
I think that's perfectly worded.
You know, I don't think I even, not trying to go back or backtrack, but
No.
all of this culmination in everything we just talked about, literally what you talked about earlier, is we do want a storefront. I want a storefront so bad because I envision being able to walk into what maybe looks like a home or something that looks similar to what you might have grown up to. I feel like almost every household has some sort of water feature.
Yes.
Here, right? I going back home reminded me of that, and I was like, Ale, we have to do something like this where it's not over the top, but it feels right, and being able to showcase all these pieces like art, so you can actually walk around and take your time and learn about the people and the places. Ultimately, I dream of having a storefront because I want it to be an experience. I want for you to be able to say this trip is going to be worth it because it's not just going to be, you know, a walk in and shop, which that would be great. I would be happy to just showcase the clothing. But like I said, if money was no issue, when we could start planning, I have a vision board already. But, you know, beyond that, our e-commerce platform is going to always be there. And I have all of these crazy ideas of being able to even insert, I told Ale, you know how a lot of people have like sounds to go to sleep and all of these things to bring pieces alive. When we had one of our meetings to meet one of the brands, they were in the mountains near the Andes, and they were like, "Oh, sorry if it's loud. There's a storm here. I'm in the mountains." And I'm like, Ale, can you imagine if we were to start including clips of soundscapes of where those items come from? So if you get a bag or a piece of earrings of where it was made, you can actually hear what that surrounding sounds like. So we can be able to really bring that to life so you can connect more with the piece, because we truly do believe that all of these pieces are an investment. And being able to connect that, especially if you can't necessarily go, to be able to just play and maybe hear the wind or just the hustle and bustle of El Mercado or something like that. I know for my sister and I, when we couldn't go, we lived on YouTube videos to remember what it was like. So maybe being able to connect you with your pieces. So many ideas.
Oh my God. Okay, so Wisil and Yandel, good thing they're going on retirement because you guys are the dynamic duo. Like, let me just say that. You guys are the dynamic duo. Like, that's brilliant. And that is so unique. Girl, if you can't get me off your website now, imagine we
not only do we work in a slow fashion space, we are a true slow entrepreneurship space, because everything, you know, has just, it has been profit investment. Oh, yeah. My sister has done everything from the website to all the social media being handled by us. I mean, it has been a true slow process, but a rewarding one. So when Mabel's like, we want all of these things, it seems like it's going to take forever, but hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's right around the corner for us.
I have a dream. Sister, we're both dreamers for sure, but sometimes I'm like, I can too. We're both like that. We feed off of each other, but it seems so far away. And then sometimes we're like, I don't think we realize how far we've come. And we're like, well, you know, really we could start it somehow tomorrow if we wanted to, because we could probably ask the artisans, hey, can you just do a voice recording or like a, I don't know, but
a sound by ASMR of them cosiendo or, you know, like doing what they do.
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, I think it would be cool to have someone be able to travel to these places and help us tell their stories and get these soundscapes. Because you kept mentioning how you have this wish list, which is actually something I'm actually working on, is being able to incorporate a wish list. So you have a little tally of what you want. So
but that's even more dangerous. That's even more dangerous, Mabel, because de por sí, my husband's like, cálmate with all the packages. I'm like, wait, it's because I'm not even done.
No, it's a good. It can be, but like you said, you like to come to our website, but I want to be able to, my sister and I would love to be able to have more, whether it's stories, and we do have a vlog, but it's hard to keep
do
up with
everything.
that
You guys
well.
are. That's
Yeah,
why. That's why I said. That's why I said I feel like you guys are not even at your peak. Like I feel like you guys have done such an amazing job, and I can't even imagine when you guys hit your peak. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see that. I cannot wait.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's exciting to see it because, I think when we started the conversation, Mabel said, we're more than a marketplace, we're a community. And so just hearing you say that really does hone in on the community and kind of like this journey, right? Like we're not on this journey to see how much money we can get. We're on this journey to see like how many brands can we discover, who wants to be a part of this journey, how can they develop and grow, and how exciting that is.
And you can see, at least me as a consumer and as me being a fan of you guys and your website and the pieces that you guys have. Once I dove in, I see even like when you post, your outfit reveals, Alejandra, like there's just this connection. There's just this instant connection where it's like, oh my God. I can't wait till I lose the 40 more pounds that I have to go so I can look as amazing.
And we are getting to a space where we have allotted a budget to have more models so that people see themselves reflected in the items we have. Because the reason I show up on camera all the time is because I'm free and I can pick up a camera and do it. But if it was up to us, I think we would show diversity in models all the time. And so I think we're finally in a space where we have set some monies or a budget aside to do that and prioritize it because we realize the importance of it. I think at first we were like hustle. And if you can get a video out, you can get it out. And I think our mentality has shifted to support our community, right? Which has given so much to us and give you all the ability to see yourselves and how you would style it. If you're mid-size, if you're plus size, if you are a 00, right? All of these experiences.
If you're short.
If you're tall, if you're short.
Yeah.
All of that. So we are excited to kind of venture into that space soon.
That's amazing. Oh, okay. So before, I let you guys go, I just have 3 more questions. And, I kind of want to integrate. So there's this one Latina. She's very popular on the West Coast. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. Liz Hernandez. She's a radio personality and she's been like on Access Hollywood.
Yes. I think you know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so she created this game called Wordiful. It's no room for small talk.
I love that.
Yes, and it has pretty interesting questions. And so instead of playing the game, I kind of pre-chose some questions to ask you both. Whoever feels like you guys want to answer, you guys can take the answer. But so to start, whoever wants to answer this one, was there ever a time in your life when you felt hopeless? Right?
Ooh. Yes. Do you want to take that, maybe? I feel like you don't, but I feel like you do.
Yeah.
You can punt it. I can take it if you want.
Yes, the answer is yes. Probably the worst. Probably I've had a lot of low points, but I would say, was it last year, Ale, or the year before?
Last year.
I think so. Yeah, it was really bad.
Oh, Mabel.
It's okay.
To give some background, well, Mabel maybe, gets her story To give some background, we are very intentional about putting Latina and veteran owned on our shop, right? Because the experiences of being Latina definitely impact the way we run our business and the decisions we make. But we have the layer of being also veteran owned because my sister is a veteran, right?
10 years,
so there are
10 years in the Air Force, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a lot.
So there are a lot of experiences that come with that label that we have also very much so have made decisions based on that identity for the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for me, I know my sister has definitely gone. We both have leaned on each other a lot. But yeah, the reason I got emotional is because I would say me recently, I was probably at my worst. I would say like 2001 going to 2002 or 2022. I ignored and avoided a lot of issues that I had. And so they got me to a very, very, very bad point. And so, yeah, I was not in a good place, and eventually it did get help, but that alone, opening Pandora's box, is hard. And I think as a Latina veteran, that's an even lower percentage. We always get told that we're the 1% of the nation serves. And so when I think of the 1%, I always thought, man, I wonder how much of that are Latinas, because navigating the military is interesting in itself. Navigating as a woman is just one of a kind. And then as a Latina and an immigrant, it's a mind fuck, pardon my French.
No, you're
and so it brought me to my knees, some of the experiences that I had. And to give you background, I worked as a medic in a hospital, and then for the last couple of years I was in remote environments doing some other pretty cool things, but just things that are definitely a little heavy. And so you kind of just keep to yourself. I learned through my therapist that I'm a master at avoidance. And I think as Latinas, we already kind of grow up in that you grow up and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. When something you get told or get asked, you, regardless of how you feel, you just put your feelings aside and then you just kind of go. And so I think as you grow, regardless of your lived experience, for me being in the military, I did that. Physical and mental, the physical and mental toll that I took, I avoided all the negative and I just kind of kept surviving, and it brought me to my freaking knees.
It caught up to you.
Terribly. And I think my sister and I talk about, I brought it up. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I feel like if I had gotten help sooner, or if I had been better, then I could have probably been better, because I felt like she was kind of doing it on her own for a little bit. And now that once I got full throttle, we started to notice a difference. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, because I do feel like she took on the brunt of the work. And I mean, you notice she's a lot on our social platforms, though I'm not much of the fashionista. I like home stuff. But I to answer your question, yes, hopeless, 1,000%, definitely been there.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like, and this is why, I have such a passion for collecting stories, because anybody looking from the outside, in, I see two amazing, powerful women that are setting a trail, and you guys are not even looking back. And I would think that life is perfect and everything's just falling into place for you, when in reality, when you're actually inside, you see that there's so many fails, there's so many, como se dice, like bumps in the road. I'm sure there's so many things that you have gone through. And so for you to share that with us, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is so real. And a lot of us do deal with that. And when I read that you were in the Air Force, I was just shocked, Mabel, because I'm like, this girl did not do 4 years. This girl did not do 5 years. This girl did 10 years. And I know that it cannot be easy. I have my younger brother. He was in the Marines, and it broke him. It broke him 100%. Until this day, he doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't open up about it. He's just kind of, focused on martial arts. He's really into jiu-jitsu and boxing, and that's what he does. And that's how he gets his frustrations out. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you.
Okay. So Alejandra, you're next.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're cheating Mabel because yours is super easy. Yours is, what is some of the best advice you have been given?
Because I think the advice is always relative to where people think where they see you. So when I would receive a lot of advice from mentors, it was around the white spaces that we were navigating, right? So the advice was always around pursuing or climbing a ladder. And so I think the best advice or just words that I've received was actually probably right before starting Cadena, like a year before. We were in San Miguel de Allende. We have a blog about this. And we were in San Miguel de Allende, and there was a man standing kind of in a very interesting little corner. You would have easily missed him, but he had this horn he was blowing, and my sister and I were like, what is that? And so then he had this book on this little table. My sister's very curious. You can tell her background in her video. She likes little dainty, cute things. And so we go over to this man, and he's like, I'm a scholar, I'm a master, I'm this, and this. He gives us all his credentials, and he's like, but today I'm just here to give you your Mayan horoscope. Was it Mayan, maybe?
I think it was Aztec horoscope. And so this is determined at, the same way that a horoscope would be given when you were born, how everything aligned. He gives it to us, tells us a little bit of our identities. We get emotional. But his words of advice or his last words that he tells me, he's like, remember, you have one job in life, and that's to be happy. And so that's kind of constantly where I've landed on when I'm sad, anxious, depressed, whatever. And even when I have conversations with others, right, that existing is it, right? Like that's your only job, and existing with joy and happiness is kind of where you should be centered. It shouldn't be reaching $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in sale. It shouldn't be the new car you're going to get, or the new brand, or this or that. Existing in joy and happiness is kind of, if you come back to that, going outside for a walk in the sun makes you happy, then you're like, oh shit, my problems are fixed. And so that's probably the best advice or words that I've heard from someone who wasn't even trying to give me advice, I think.
You know what though? I love that. I really love that because it is so true. And I think you guys both embody that by seeing your passion that you put into your business. It's like you said, I want to kind of go back to what you guys said, kind of towards in the middle. This is not about profit for you. This is not, because it's so easy for you to charge so much more. But I think what you're trying to do is the meaning behind it is so much bigger than profit. And I can see the joy that you guys have in having Cadena Collective. So that was beautifully said. Oh, I love you guys. Can I be the third sister?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Instead of the
something really interesting that Ale didn't mention. So
Sure.
this gentleman who bestowed us our destinies, if you will, because that's what, based on math, he'll give you your animal and everything. once he told my sister who she was destined to be, which is an Águila Blanca,
Wow.
he told her her qualities, and then he told her, you need to run your own business. You need to make your business. And at that time,
he alluded to how much better, not just me, my sister, like how owning a business and entrepreneurship just gave you freedom, right? And so since we were together, we were like, yeah, okay, this is nice. I think Cadena came about like within a few months after that. And then it was kind of serendipitous.
Wow.
Yes, go read the blog.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I have to go to the blog and read this. I cannot wait.
I'm going to send it to you.
So you guys, the website, link to their website and to their social medias is going to be in the description box of this episode. Please go follow them, support them. Even if you're not able to afford their pieces, it's okay. Save your coins like I'm saving my coins. It matters so much every time you like, you share, you leave a comment. That's also being supportive. It's not just buying and shopping how you show your support. So please go support these beautiful ladies, and please say hi to your mom for me. I hope that one day we get to meet her. 'Cause as soon as I read, I was like, okay, she's the force behind these two powerful women. And thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for meeting with me today. And I cannot wait to see where you guys are. I want to hear your story, or I want to support your small business. To do so, please go ahead and visit embracingmymarkings.com. Thank you for tuning in.